People love talking about these plane crashes. People love watching the videos of the explosions, and they love watching the footage of the aftermath afterwards. And of course, everyone loves asking the question, why are all of these planes crashing lately? But you want to know what people don't love? They don't love the answer to that question. You see, I've been providing the answer to that question for over a year now, but a lot of people simply don't want to hear it. And if you know someone who doesn't want to hear it, share this video with them. Share this video on your social media timeline, because I'm damn sure going to answer that question right here today. I'm damn sure going to answer that question right here in this video. You see, there's been a lot of talk about how air traffic controllers are understaffed. All of these airports are understaffed. In fact, during that tragic crash in D.C. with the Black Hawk colliding with the commercial airliner, it was reported that the air traffic controllers were understaffed. There was one air traffic controller doing the job that multiple people should be doing. So we know a lot of the reasons why these planes are crashing. But there's a deeper reason, folks. There's a reason why they're so understaffed. It has now been exposed that the FAA, all of these various organizations, they turned down not a couple, not a few dozen, not a couple of hundred. They turned down thousands of qualified air traffic controllers. They turned down thousands of qualified people. Why? And I kid you not, the official reason why is because they were too white or too elite. So there's no shortage of air traffic controllers. They've just been refusing to hire people because, and I quote, they're either too white or too elite. So they'll have someone who is not just qualified, one could even say overqualified for the job. They are elite at what they do, but they're a little too white, so we're not going to hire them. Instead, we're going to hire a person of color who isn't qualified for the job. And if you look at some of these DEI practices, okay, that are going on, they were literally hiring people with mental health issues. They were hiring people with mental handicaps, or whatever the appropriate way to, call people that are challenged mentally these days. They were hiring these people to be air traffic controllers. People with learning disabilities are air traffic controllers as we speak. Meanwhile, they're turning down the qualified people because most of them are too white or they are too elite at their job. We got to hire someone at this job that sucks. You're too elite. You're too good at this. You make sure the planes don't crash. We got to bring someone in that's going to cause a little more plane crashes. That's how idiotic everything is around us. But let's go ahead and dive into this information that a lot of people don't want to hear, but you're going to hear it today, folks. Air traffic controller shortage of 3,800 due to DEI practices cutting too white, too elite candidates. A critical shortage of 3,800 air traffic controllers is because of the Federal Aviation Administration's DEI practices, leaving a gaping hole in recruitment, a lawyer has now claimed. Over 1,000 would-be air traffic controllers were wiped out from consideration overnight because of diversity and inclusion hiring targets suddenly being implemented. Michael Pearson, the lawyer, says that his clients have completed all of their training at FAA-approved institutions before they were placed in a direct hiring pool for air traffic controllers, as was standard at the time. Within months of graduating, they were informed by the FAA that they would need to pass a new biographical assessment, which he claimed awarded extra points to people with no aviation experience at all. So basically, they're rewarding people with points like, hey, oh, you're black? Okay, here's some extra points. Oh, you're gay too? Here's some extra points. Oh, you're white? No extra points for you. Oh, you're actually qualified? You actually went to school for this? No extra points for you. Oh, you're a person of color and you have no idea what you're talking about? Okay, here's extra points. We're going to hire you. That's what's going on here. But let's go forward, folks. The FAA basically decided the students were too white and the schools they attended were too elite. So in 2013, knocked them off their preferred hiring list they had trained and worked hard to get onto, all because of their race. According to the attorney, 95% of the previously qualified candidates he represents then failed the biographical assessment questionnaire, essentially a personality test, and then they were screened out. They had the training and they had the passion, and they were all ready to be hired, he said. The air traffic control issue was sharply brought back into focus on January 31st when an American Airlines passenger jet or passenger plane and a Black Hawk helicopter collided at Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport in Washington, D.C., killing 67 people in the country's deadliest aviation disaster in almost 25 years. We got to pause right there because it needs to be understood that these people are dead because of DEI. That plane crashed because of DEI. The air traffic controllers, oh my God, we don't know what's going on, blah, blah, blah. We don't have enough. It's because of DEI. I'm not going to get into who was flying the helicopter, but one could question why they were flying the helicopter as well, maybe because of DEI. But hey, we're not supposed to get into that because people will get offended when you point out the problem. And that's why we're going to continue seeing planes crash, because no one wants to have the, I guess, what some people would consider a difficult, sensitive conversation. We don't want to hurt anyone's feelings here, okay? We got to protect people's feelings instead of people's lives. Because that's the crossroads that we're at right now, ladies and gentlemen. And you guys need to understand that. What's more important? You getting your feelings hurt for a few minutes? Or you losing your life? Or you surviving? Because that is the crossroads. What's more important? People's lives or people's fragile feelings? We'll allow countless people to die instead of having a conversation about, hey, maybe we should just hire who's the most qualified at the job. And if it turns out that mainly white people are the ones that are air traffic controllers, then so be it. If you're a person of a different race or background and you want to be an air traffic controller, then go out there and strive to be one. I don't care what color or gender or who or what you are. If you're qualified and you're good at your job, then by any means, by all means, go out there and do it. I don't care what color the air traffic controller is. I care that they're qualified. But that's not how the hiring practices go anymore. In fact, it's like, oh, you're qualified? Oh, we got to get rid of you. You know too much. That's what's going on here. They're purposely not hiring qualified people because the qualified people would look around and realize that no one else is qualified and they're all incompetent. So to keep up with this lie, to keep up with this illusion, they have to keep hiring more and more incompetent people that don't know what they're doing and they don't know what they're talking about. Because the moment you hire people who know what they're doing, who know what they're talking about, then your little shindig or your little whatever the hell you got going on, it gets exposed. But let's go further. The air traffic control tower was operating with 19 full staff, 2/3 of the 30 recommended by the FAA. Nationwide, there are 10,800 air traffic controllers, but 14,000, 1,600 are needed to meet the current demand, according to the National Air Traffic Controllers Association. I want to pause right here once again. I want you to you got to fully grasp this. When it comes to this DEI stuff that's going on, it's not that they're just, hey, we're going to hire unqualified people of color or gay people or whoever. We're going to hire diversity hires instead of qualified white people. That's not just what's going on here. Because you see, they have all of these positions that need to be filled, but they're not filled. There's not any diversity hires even trying to get the job. But this is how much they despise white people. This is how much they are doing whatever they can to keep qualified white people out, folks. Because it's not like they hired a bunch of diversity hires to fill every position. No, they'll leave those positions open, knowing that there are thousands of qualified, too white, too elite air traffic controllers out there that need a job. They won't hire them despite the fact that they got open positions and there's no one else even trying to compete for the position. They still won't hire them because they're too white and too elite. So we will have an air traffic controller shortage before we hire these white people. Even though there's not a single person of color, there's not a single gay person, there's not a single diversity, whatever the hell you want to call them, even trying to get this position, we're going to keep the position open just to ensure that white people don't get it. We don't care how many planes crash in the process. And this has been going on for over a decade now. People didn't really start digging into the DEI and what was going on with DEI until the last few years, but it's been going on longer than that. And slowly but surely, we're starting to see the results of it. And if you're someone that thinks planes just started crashing a couple of weeks ago, you're severely mistaken. It's been going on for a couple of years now, and I've talked about it so much on this channel and on my X account. Go follow me over there as well. But that's where we're at. That's what needs to be understood here. It's not just about, oh, we're going to hire these unqualified DEI hires instead of you. It's, oh, we'll just leave these positions open and hire nobody before we give a white person a job. That's what's going on. So for all of you who are out here struggling and looking for real racism, who constantly talk about how racism is still alive, yeah, it is. It's just not coming from who you think it's coming from. But let's go forward. The FAA engaged in staffing unaliving. It takes 2 to 5 years to train as an air traffic controller and a long time to get these people through, Pearson claimed. Losing them meant a gaping hole was left in the air traffic controller talent pool. Simultaneously, a 4-year near freeze on air traffic control hiring was also underway as the DEI policies were introduced, according to Pearson, a former air traffic controller and trainer. The FAA, because of DEI policies, stopped hiring people for 3 to 4 years, and that directly correlates to the lack of staffing and controllers being overworked and getting fatigued and burned out. In 2018, the biographical assessment was removed as a screening tool. If the DC crash is determined to be linked to ATC fatigue or lack of awareness, it's directly related to DEI. President Trump was right about that, said Pearson. He said he believes the tragedy was due to human error on the part of air traffic control. On the night of the DC disaster, understaffing resulted in one controller pulling double duty, doing the job of multiple people, overseeing helicopters while also guiding arriving and departing planes on the busy airport's runways, an initial report by the FAA found. The occupation requires attentiveness and awareness, Pearson said. This was not the helicopter's fault. It was air traffic control whose primary job is to apply separation. The controllers put planes on converging courses without a means of separation. The aircraft were headed at each other, where systems would have been predicting they were about to collide. Air traffic control did nothing when it was their job to do something. Pilots screw up every day. I never worked a day in the FAA where a plane didn't make a wrong turn or a mistake. Your job as an air traffic controller is to correct that in a timely manner. The Aviation Agency and U.S. Department of Transportation are fighting a huge class action lawsuit filed in 2015 about DEI, which is slated to go to court early next year. So there you have it, folks. If you see someone asking, well, why are all of these planes crashing lately? Look them dead in their face and tell them it's because of racism. It's because someone somewhere higher up has such a deep-seated hatred for white people that they will allow planes to crash, they will allow countless people to die, instead of hiring the thousands of qualified air traffic controllers who went through school, who went through all the testing, but they just happen to be a little too white for the job. They happen to be too good at their jobs. You see, folks, this is not just happening when it comes to air traffic controllers. This is happening everywhere, in every type of job. You might not notice it, and let's be real, the effects might not be too bad. Because, there's a difference between, there's a bunch of DEI hires running the local supermarket. That's not as dangerous as a bunch of DEI hires, controlling air traffic. And it's not even just because of the DEI hires, it's because of the lack of hiring white people. When you have these open positions, they're literally out here frantic. We need more air traffic controllers. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? We need more air traffic controllers. And it's like, ma'am, sir, they. We have 3,800 fully qualified white elite air traffic controllers right here. Not them. They're too white and too elite. They may save too many lives. They're too good at their job. We can't hire them. This is bonkers. It's bonkers. It makes you feel like you're living in a parody movie or something. Reality is stupider than any plot from any of the scary movie, epic movie type of parody movies. Reality is dumber than any of those plots. You got people complaining about a shortage while refusing to hire the people who actually went to school and got the training to do this job. And then they want to cry, everything's racist, America is so racist, and everyone's oppressed, everyone's holding people down, and everyone's so bad. Meanwhile, we got people literally blowing up in the sky in plane crashes every day because our government refuses to hire white people to do the job. Lord Jesus. So basically, folks, the big mystery here over the past few years, some of you all are new to this, but those of you all who have been down with me through this ride, when we watched America fall apart, when we watched the trains roll off the tracks, when we watched the planes crash, when we watched the factories explode, we kind of know what happened here. Our government, the powers that be, stopped hiring qualified white people, and America basically fell apart. No other way to look at it. Sorry if it offends you. Let me know your thoughts about this, though, down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe, ring that notification bell, and I'll talk to you all very soon in the next one.